Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member Durbin, and members of the committee. It's an honor to be here with you today as the 9th Director of the FBI. I want to provide by providing a briefing into the tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk. It's important that this FBI is transparent as possible without jeopardizing investigations. Charlie Kirk was shot at 12:23 p.m. on September 10th. I think this timeline is critically important. Less than a day later, the FBI, at my direction, released the first set of images of the suspect that we captured based on our analysis on the ground. Later that evening, while conducting extensive interviews and cell phone analysis and also flying out evidence response teams and hostage rescue teams and evidence tacticians who were collecting evidence in live time and flying them back to Washington, D.C. in our laboratories for immediate analyses, we were able to extract video from the campus feed. And at my direction at 8 p.m., in partnership and in promise to working with the public to bring this fugitive to justice, we released a newly, never before seen video of the suspect. We also released new enhanced photos of the suspect. A few hours later, that suspect was in custody, pursuant to the interrogation of the suspect's own father, who stated, "When I saw that video that you released, I recognized it was my son, and I confronted him, and he was handed over to lawful law enforcement authorities." That is the FBI working with the public as I promised, being transparent and providing critical information along the way in the manhunt for the suspect or suspects involved in Charlie's assassination. We received over 11,000 tips in the first 20.
All right, ninjas, we're live. Let's fucking do it. Fuck it.
16,000 submissions to our digital media.
We're live, ninjas. Fuck it, bro. Fuck it, bro. Yo, before we start this stream, guys, I got no sleep, so excuse me if I'm fucking dead. But fuck it. Let's go. We're here, bro. We're here.
Especially thank our
Fuck it.
colleagues in Utah, the governor's office, DPS, and the sheriffs out there. State and local law enforcement partnership has been a cornerstone since I took over at the FBI, and it was no different here. And our teams in Salt Lake City, our SACs out there across the country, our lab technicians in Quantico who raced to complete the evidence.
All right, quick little recap for you guys. Started like 40 minutes ago. They listed all the shit that Kash has been doing and fucking up, and they just put him under oath. So y'all came at the perfect time. Let's go. Let's go, niggas. Like the fucking video right now. I literally went live for you guys. Fuck it. I didn't sleep. We're here. I'm sorry if I sound like I'm drunk. I promise I'm tired as fuck, and I took some fucking Z-quotes to try to sleep, but I said, fuck it. We're going to work. Who cares?
It's analysis, so the public is reporting in the media, and that's why Tyler Robinson is in custody today, about to face charges. The last time I appeared before...
I'm going to try... Guys, it's this shit that the audio sucks. I'm going to try to find a better version of this.
Before this committee was in January for my confirmation hearing. I told you then that if I were confirmed, I would provide and do everything I can to provide a safe and secure America. I promise to provide the courageous men and women of the FBI the tools and resources they need to crush violent crime and defend the homeland. I pledge myself to commit to full transparency, oversight, and accountability. For the same time period from last year alone.
I think that's a little better. A little better.
More than twice from the same time period last year. We've taken over 6,000 illegal firearms off the streets. That number is an exponential increase. We've identified and located more than 4,700 child victims. More than 4,700 child victims have been found by this FBI. That is a 35% increase from the same time period last year. 1,500 child predators have been arrested. That's a 5% increase from the same time last year. 300 human traffickers have been arrested. That's a 10% increase from the same time last year. Over 350 members of Tren de Aragua, foreign terrorist organization, have been arrested, and we have 42 ongoing cases. That is a 250% increase from the same time last year. Those are just some of the things the FBI is doing differently and better because we are leading the mission to crush violent crime and defend the homeland. We have also captured four top 10 fugitives from the FBI's top 10 most wanted list. To put that in perspective, that's the same amount I've captured in 7 months than my predecessor did during the entirety of the Biden administration. Those are real results, and the credit is to the men and women at the FBI. We've been able to achieve these results because the FBI recognizes violent crime doesn't just happen in Washington, D.C. That's why one of my first decisions as a director was to get the people, the Bureau's professional staff out to the field. And we've done that with great speed. And every single one of your districts and states has received a plus-up of FBI personnel, agents, and special operators to the tune of almost 1,000. We did that because crime had unexpectedly and unacceptably exploded across the country. In fact, one of the stats that the American people should thank the FBI the most for is we are on track to have the lowest murder rate in modern American history. The lowest murder rate by double-digit percentages. A major factor in the drop of this violent crime is the FBI's flagship Operation Summer Heat. We use this initiative at the direction of the President and the Attorney General, surging resources to our major and mid-major cities across America, conducting intelligence-based operations to target the worst of the worst, to target the gangs, to target the transnational organizations, to target the TCOs, and to target the drug trafficking cartels. And we have taken them out city by city. There's a lot of work left to be done, but we're off to a great start. Just ask the citizens of Seattle, Miami, Memphis, Charlotte, Chicago, and so many more places. Specifically in New Orleans and Nashville alone, there has been an increase in the number of violent crime arrests by an average of 250% for each of those cities. And there has been a drastic reduction in crime across the board in mid-major cities across this country, thanks to the men and women of the FBI. How are we doing that? We are attacking the drug epidemic. We've seized nearly 1,000 kilograms of meth and cocaine off the streets of America. We've taken over 1,600 kilograms of fentanyl off the streets. Maybe one of the greatest achievements we have this year, 1,600 kilograms of fentanyl. That's a 25% increase from the same time last year. To put things in perspective, that's enough fentanyl to kill a third of the American populace, 115 million Americans. We're also going after the companies that manufacture these precursors overseas in places like mainland China and their cutting agents. In fact, this month in Cincinnati, we announced groundbreaking charges aimed at the individuals and businesses responsible for flooding these opioids and their precursors and cutting agents into the streets of America. And for the first time that I can remember, we are charging these businesses and enterprises, not just in America, but in mainland China, and seizing their operational necessity to have money by seizing their cryptocurrency wallets. We're also equally important to protecting the homeland. We know we have a no-fail mission. We're committed to keeping our nation safe from terrorism, cyber attacks, and foreign adversaries. Whether stopping threats inspired by foreign terrorist organizations or lone wolf actors or sponsored by hostile nation states. This year, we've already made nearly 60 counterintelligence arrests. 60 counterintelligence arrests this year alone is
That's actually pretty fucking impressive.
a 30% increase from the same time period last year.
Dude, counterintelligence cases, guys, are super hard to work. They typically take forever. You know, like the biggest one they had was the one with the Russian spies like 10 years ago. So that's actually kind of impressive, not gonna lie.
CI work at the FBI. I'm proud when we can share our successes, such as when an espionage charge was brought against an active duty U.S. Navy sailor caught spying for the People's Republic of China. But I want the American people to know the FBI is protecting the homeland from foreign adversaries in a way that will never make the news, and a lot of the good work that they do will never be able to discuss in this setting. We're working on cyber threats. We're attacking malware infrastructure, going after ransomware attackers, delivering a new partnership with the...
Once we got a few more thousand live viewers, guys, I'm going to give you a summary of like what's kind of going on here.
Private public sector engagements we've taken with the companies who are attacked by these foreign adversaries and nation-state actors and individual enterprise rings from around the world. We are combating Salt Typhoon, Vault Typhoon, Flax Typhoon, and so many other ransomware and cyber threats this nation faces. We're also arresting people such as Tajik national in Brooklyn, who is suspected of sending tens of thousands of dollars to support ISIS. We're going after the new form of what I refer to as modern-day terrorism in America, 764 crimes that involve harming our children by going after them online, causing self-mutilation, suicide, sexual abuse, and steering them in the wrong direction. Currently, we have 3,500 international terrorism investigations. Specifically, we have in this country 1,700 domestic terrorism investigations, a large chunk of which are nihilistic violent extremism, NVE, those who engage in violent acts motivated by a deep hatred of society, whatever that justification they seem is. The FBI has seen a 300% increase in cases opened this year alone versus the same time last year. In the last couple of months, the FBI secured a guilty plea for a man in Tennessee who attacked an energy facility with drones and explosives. We secured the indictment of a violent Sinaloa cartel faction leader in Chicago on narco terrorism charges. Our folks in Sacramento collaborated with domestic and international partners to secure a guilty plea for a leader of a transnational terrorist organization who solicited the murder of federal officials. But the Bureau's job is not
Wait, what the fuck? What case are you talking about?
done. I'm committed to this transparency. Mr. Chairman, you alluded to our work with Congress. To date, in the 7 months that I've been FBI director, we have produced 33,000 pages to the United States Congress, 33,000 pages. Just to put that in perspective, my predecessor in his 7-year term issued 13,000 pages to Congress, and his predecessor in his 4-year term issued 3,000 pages to Congress.
Yet again, this is pretty impressive, guys. Not gonna lie. He's been fucking up, but I'll give flowers when they're deserved, but also say what the fuck when it's deserved.
I've issued 33,000 pages in 7 months, and we're going to keep going.
He's definitely better than Merrick Garland. Or sorry, not Merrick Garland, the director before him. Merrick Garland was the attorney general. I'll sorry, guys, I'm half asleep here, so I'll jog my memory.
I'm dedicated to restoring the trust that the public has and needs in the integrity at the FBI, and it's being done every day by the men and women of the FBI. Now, I know that there's a lot of talk about Epstein, and I'm here to testify that the original sin in the Epstein case was the way it was initially brought.
Okay, here we go. Now we're on Epstein. Here we go. All right, boys. This is what we're here for, boys. Y'all ready?
Mr. Acosta back in 2006. The original case involved a very limited search warrant or set of search warrants and didn't take as much investigatory material it should have seized. If I were the FBI director then, it wouldn't have happened. The search warrants were limited to small time periods to include 2002 to 2005 and 1997 to 2001.
Yes, Christopher Wray, guys. Now I remember. Yeah, Chris Wray was the last FBI director. So Patel, only 7 months in, has produced 3 times as much classified documents or unclassified documents than Chris Wray did his entire 4 years in, or for a couple years in, 3 years.
Mr. Acosta allowed Epstein to enter in 2008 to a plea and non-prosecution agreement, which then the courts issued mandates.
And guys, don't worry, I'm going to read your super chats once we kind of get through this part.
And protective orders legally prohibiting anyone from ever seeing that material ever again without the permission of the court. The non-prosecution agreements also barred future prosecutions for those involved at that time of those individuals. Still, this administration, at the direction of President Trump, has done more to turn over all the credible information we are legally able.
Guys, once we break 2,000 live viewers on YouTube and Rumble, I'll explain what's going on here. I just don't want to repeat myself a million times. But long story short, he's at a Senate hearing under oath answering questions because they don't think he's qualified to be FBI director.
To do so, and we will continue to work with Congress to achieve that end. Under the direction of the President, thank you for your support for our mission to working to jointly deliver transparency and congressional oversight to the United States. Lastly, I want to close with the President's initiative here in Washington, D.C. as an example of what we're doing around the country. And I think our next city is Memphis. 21,000 arrests in D.C. with our federal partners, a huge decrease in violence.
They just made a Memphis task force, guys, and they're doing this in all the worst major high crime cities.
Crime.
They tried it with D.C., it was successful. Now they're trying to do it in Memphis and Chicago next.
60% decrease in gun crimes in Washington, D.C. in the last month. 74% decrease.
Told y'all, that whole Washington, D.C. feds patrol on the streets, it was literally just a test run. They're going to do this on every major city from this point. Just watch. And I predicted this. Guys, did I not predict this like a month ago?
Decreasing.
That this D.C. shit was a test run.
Carjackings in Washington, D.C. in the last month. 53% decrease in homicides in Washington, D.C. in the last month. The drugs are disappearing. People are freely walking around the states, and we're restoring the nation's capital to its glory. That work is through the interagency process that the FBI is proud to be a part of, and the initiative spearheaded by President Trump and the Attorney General. And perhaps most notably for investigations in Washington itself, it was the intelligence that the FBI gathered through our source network here in D.C. that helped us identify the suspects in the horrific murder of the DC intern Eric Tarpinian. We're proud to be a part of that investigation. We're proud to put the resources to bear of the FBI. And in closing, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee and Ranking Member Durbin, I'm honored to be the 9th director of the FBI. I'm not going anywhere. If you want to criticize my 16 years of service, please bring it on. Over to you.
All right. Let the games begin, boys. Oh, okay. That's their audio chat.
I've observed when, whether it's Republican or Democrats, want a yes or no answer, that the witness and the senators talking over each other. So I thought what I'd do this time, rather than have that happen, if there's something you don't get a chance to answer because of the demeanor of a Republican or Democrat senator, before we, when we get done with that questioner, I'd give you a chance to fill in if there's something you didn't get a chance to say. Since 2019, I've sought greater transparency about Jeffrey Epstein and the government handling of the matter. I've continued to investigate during this Congress. Director Patel, was Jeffrey Epstein an intelligence asset for the United States government or the foreign government? And if so, which agencies or governments?
Oh, let's go. Kash, you're under oath. Kash, you're under oath. Answer this question.
Mr. Chairman, I can only speak to the FBI as the director of the FBI, and Mr. Epstein was not a source for the FBI.
Okay.
That's not what he asked.
Would you commit to providing my
Bruh.
office with all classified?
Nigga, what? He didn't ask if fucking Epstein was a source. He asked if he was a foreign asset.
Non-classified records
Bro.
relating to the Epstein matter?
I will commit to providing all records I'm legally permitted to do so under the court orders.
Standard answer.
It seems to me that I accept your answer to my
What? Bruh, this nigga retarded, bro. Send this guy to the fucking nursing home, bro. Bro asked a specific question, Kash didn't answer it. What the hell?
question, but the broader intelligence
I'm half asleep right now and I'm more fucking sharp than this dude. Literally, my eyelids are closing.
community ought to answer these questions as well. Victims deserve an answer.
Man, get this old nigga out of here, man. Bruh.
Regarding the initial FBI 1023 document that I made public last Congress, that document mentioned 1, text messages, 2, audio recordings, and 3, financial records that allegedly proved a bribery scheme with the Biden family and foreign interests. Regarding those records, did the Ray FBI make any effort to determine whether they existed? Did the Ray FBI make any effort to obtain those records?
Not to my knowledge, Mr. Chairman.
Since this matter hasn't been fully investigated, the FBI has an obligation to the public to do exactly that and figure out why it wasn't investigated. Next question. I've done a lot of oversight relating to sexual misconduct by the FBI agents. In fact, I believe this is something I discussed with Ray.
Hey, you guys know what FBI stands for? Female body inspector.
One of his appearances before this committee. According to
W womanizing.
the FBI Inspection Division, it opened nearly 300 investigations based on sexual misconduct referrals between 2017 and 2024. According to whistleblowers, the Biden-Ray FBI totally dropped
Guys, the FBI has a lot of female agents, by the way.
the ball on this question. One credible accusation of sexual misconduct is too many, of course. Are you committed to reviewing the Bureau's policies to ensure responsible responses to credible allegations of misconduct, that they're swift and adequately protect victims?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Relating to a similar subject, During child crimes and sexual misconduct related investigations, are any private sector companies less than cooperative with you? What improvements in information sharing need to be made to catch those criminals?
Mr. Chairman, we can always do better with their private sector companies. I've reached out to the leaders of most of them, asking them to provide more material so that we can be responsive and take legal action.
All right. Let's recap, chat. Okay, let's recap, okay? Long story short, Kash Patel's under oath. Senate's asking him questions. There's been a lot of backlash, people calling for his resignation. So he's here testifying, answering questions. Basically what happened was it started off with members saying Kash Patel wasn't qualified. He's never been an agent. He lowered agent standards in the FBI Academy, made background checks less strict. He fumbled the Charlie Kirk murder. He wrote a book called Government Gangsters, how he talked about going after political opponents, blah, blah, blah. So he spent like 30 minutes just roasting him, right? He responded saying, look, we've been making crazy arrests, seizing 1 million guns, thwarting terrorism, and we've been transparent. I've released triple the amount of declassified documents that Chris Wray did in 7 months while Chris Wray had 3 years. So that's basically the summary of what's going on here, guys. Once again, for you guys that are coming in, I have not slept. That's why I sound fucking crazy right now. But fuck it. This thing's live. I said, you know what? Let's just do it. But that is the summary, guys, of what's going on right now.
And protect the youth of this
Give me ones if that all makes sense.
country. I'm happy to discuss, possible legislation that we can do to allow for these companies to continue.
Yeah. Say maybe 1 inch up on the microphone.
Sorry.
Not, I think.
I'm going to fast forward to the live. This guy clearly is sending, giving Kash softball questions.
Conversations with you. This FBI will not be weaponized anymore in either side of the aisle.
In June of this year, I raised concerns about the FBI's use of restricted access and prohibited access systems. According to the FBI, quote, when search teams.
Yep, chat, no sleep. So excuse me if I sound drunk. I apologize, but I said, fuck it, let's go live.
When search
This is very important.
teams that exist in a prohibited access status cases are searched in Sentinel, the particular search will receive a false negative Sentinel search response, end of quote. Clearly, this is not only affects FBI agents, it impacts congressional requests and court cases, and the Biden administration used it to thwart oversight. How are you ensuring that restricted access and prohibited access files are produced to Congress during court cases? And have you identified any Biden family records in restricted and prohibited status?
As I've committed to you with my transparency initiative, whether it's restrictive or prohibited, every single thing we can legally provide to Congress, we will. We've also restructured how these restrictive and prohibited cases are labeled and provided access to more people in the chain of command so that more people have knowledge of what these restricted and prohibited cases are, including myself and the deputy.
Do you commit to providing any records that are available?
I do, sir.
You publicly said that your team, quote, found a room that Comey and others hid from the world in the Hoover building full of documents and computer hard drives no one had ever seen or heard of. That's a quote from you. I've received a whistleblower disclosure that the room contained something to Special Counsel Mueller, former Director James Comey, and other documents maintained outside of the
Bro, get this old nigga out of here, bro.
Money!
Bruh. Get this old nigga out of here, bro. What the fuck, man?
records are clearly responsive to my as well as my colleagues' congressional.
Bro, I'm over here with no fucking sleep listening to this old ass nigga yap, bro. Get the fuck out of here, man.
Produced to Congress. That's what has to be.
Turn it over to the haters.
Supposed to happen is leadership at the FBI is supposed to, pursuant to the Records Act, correctly store these records that are Information Management Division, IMD. In this room, we've
Guys, this isn't the only guy that's going to ask some questions. There's other ones that are going to ask questions. and they're going to grill him way harder.
That were not so recorded, a voluminous amount of information. So we are continuously processing that information. So A, we subscribe to the Records Act and commit that those records will be kept permanently at the FBI. 2, we are reviewing those materials. A lot of those materials are related to ongoing investigations. And 3, we are on a rolling basis providing Congress the documents that we can, and we will continue to do so.
Okay, thank you very much, Senator Durbin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Patel, in addition to the extensive purge of nonpartisan career FBI
Okay, here we go. This is one of the haters. Y'all niggas ready?
official reports indicate that dozens of remaining officials have been subjected to polygraph exams to test their loyalty. My understanding is that approximately 40 officials have been asked to sit for a polygraph during your administration, and several have been asked whether they have ever made negative comments.
Okay, so here's the thing. Insider thing. In the FBI, guys, you do a polygraph every 5 years. Okay? So it is kind of routine at the FBI. Sometimes every 3 years if you're SCI clearance.
If they've made negative comments about you.
I don't know what reports you're referring to, Ranking Member, and I reject any reporting that has false information in it, so I'm not going to respond to that. As far as polygraphs go, generally they are always and always have been utilized at the FBI to track down those that leak sensitive information and have unauthorized disclosures to the media, and we will continue to use them.
Every 3 years SCI, 5 years for everybody else.
Your senior executive team, the director's advisory team, or who serve in the positions on the 7th floor receive disqualifying alerts on their polygraphs.
Senator, I'm not going to get into the personnel discussions that were had on a polygraph. Those are private discussions, and many of them relate to ongoing investigations.
Did you or Attorney General Bondi provide any individual with a waiver so they could remain employed after they received disqualifying alerts on their polygraphs?
I'll have to get back to you.
You don't remember that?
No, sir. My priority is protecting the American public, not getting into the weeds of polygraphs.
And to have a decent memory when you come before a committee.
I'm happy to talk about all the good work the men and women of the FBI are doing, including provided the lowest crime rate in American history.
Here we go.
If you want to talk about how to protect the citizens, Chicago has seen a 30% reduction in its murder rate because of the men and women of the
And
FBI.
you take credit for
I'll
that?
happily do that.
You
The
take credit?
interagency partners and the men and women of the Chicago PD have never been more
Include
powerful.
local law enforcement, please.
Have you ever seen my testimony across this country where I always lead with our interagency partnerships with state and local law enforcement? It is the pillar of what I am doing. And on the 7th floor, for the first time in FBI history, I have installed police officers and sheriffs.
Dude, he's deflecting so hard right now.
Report to us every day what's going on.
Okay, guys, you're probably wondering, why the fuck is this guy asking about polygraphs? Let's rewind. The reason why is because Kash Patel currently has a lawsuit right now from a bunch of different FBI agents that worked on all the criminal investigations that Trump was a part of. So what they're trying to say here is he put all those agents on polygraphs because they didn't like Trump, which obviously is a gross misuse. You're supposed to do polygraphs for background clearance reasons.
The blowback she received, Attorney General Bondi also pushed the FBI to review approximately 100,000 Epstein-related records on an arbitrarily short deadline in March, and the FBI was directed to flag any documents that mentioned President Trump. Nothing came of that review until July, when DOJ and FBI released an unsigned memorandum stating there is no incriminating client list. Why was this July 7th memorandum unsigned?
Would you prefer I've used AutoPen?
Why was it unsigned?
The memorandum had the insignia of the Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And in our effort to secure transparency for the American people, because the 3 prior administrations had not done so, we conducted an exhaustive search of everything related to the Epstein cases, and we produced what was legally and permissibly able to be produced to Congress and the American public.
So
and
did
there's
you
a congressional.
Okay, guys, this is very important. Pay attention to what he said. We released everything that is legal to release, okay? As a former special agent, I can tell y'all what he means by that is we gave you guys everything that's not classified. Very important, guys. Listen closely. All right? He's technically not lying, but since most people don't know how law enforcement clearances, background checks, all this shit works, investigations, He's kind of dancing around this.
Leads the Department of Justice, and I lead the FBI.
So the Attorney General is responsible for that?
The Attorney General leads the Department of Justice.
Director Patel, much like you, Deputy Director Dan Bongino was a conspiracy theorist.
Oh, here we
who built
go.
a lucrative career making inflammatory and unsubstantiated statements about the FBI that would be disqualifying in any administration that cared about nonpartisan law enforcement. For instance, Mr. Bongino.
I told y'all, bro, they're working their way to come after him. They're going to try to argue Kash Patel is unfairly targeting all the FBI employees that worked on any Trump criminal investigation.
Called the placement of pipe bombs outside the DNC and RNC headquarters on January 6th, quote, an inside job.
Dude, WWE Sertec, we didn't miss half of it, you fucking retard. They spent the first 45 minutes giving their grievances and then swearing cash in. Shut the fuck up, dude.
And went on
I've
to
literally been watching this the whole time.
say this
Bro, so many retards in the YouTube chat, bro.
was a setup. I have zero doubt. And whoever goes into the FBI, you better get an answer about why. Director Patel, you and Deputy Director Bongino are now leading the FBI. What is the evidence to suggest the pipe bombs placed outside of the DNC and RNC on January 6th were an inside job?
I appreciate the opportunity to discuss Director Bongino's mind record. So many on this committee and the media jettison our 31 years of public service.
Can
prior
you
to
answer
taking.
the question, sir?
I'm answering the question. You're questioning the integrity of the Deputy Director of the
Asking
FBI
you
and
if
mine.
you found
And
any
I'm going to
evidence.
answer the question.
I'm
The pipe
asking-
bomb investigation is ongoing, and I'm not going to discuss the
Ongoing?
details of the pipe bomb investigation. Mr. Bongino was a Secret Service agent for 15 years, a police officer for 5. I served this country in multiple administrations for 16 years. We were also private citizens, and we are now back in government service.
Yeah, like, with all due respect, though, Secret Service doesn't do complex criminal investigations. And he's a former federal prosecutor. So none of them have really run a complex, long-term federal investigation, to be honest.
And what we have the ability to do is set aside our personal beliefs to deliver the mission of justice for this country, and we're doing it day in and day out. And I find it disgusting that everyone and anyone would jettison our 31 years of combined experience that is now at the helm of the FBI, delivering historic results at historic speeds for the American people.
So you have no evidence?
I got a lot of evidence, and I'll give it to you when I can.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. There's a
He did it again, guys. Oh, it's under investigation. Can't show it to you. Oh, it's classified. Can't show it to you. And the reason why he's grilling him on this is Kash Patel and Bongino always question the pipe bomb shit. So see how all these podcast interviews are coming back to haunt them?
New York Times story this morning about Chris Meyer. As I understand it, he was your personal pilot, at least for some period of time. Mr. Meyer has quite a record himself. Flew over 350 hours as an Air Force pilot on 3 aircraft types in Afghanistan. Mr. Jardina, another former FBI agent, a 1999 graduate of U.S. Naval Academy, commanded 100 Marines in combat during the 2003 invasion of Iraq, participated in several firefights, followed up with 2011 deployment as reservist to Afghanistan, where he interrogated senior Taliban officials. It appears that you terminated these 2 agents. Why?
I'm not going to get into personnel decisions that we made.
So you're not accountable for your decisions to take people who served our country so admirably and terminate them without any cause?
That's a one-sided story. Anyone that has
Well,
been
then
terminated from
so
the
tell
FBI,
your-
generally
tell your
speaking,
side of the story.
failed to meet the needs of the FBI and uphold their constitutional duties. And you providing a one-sided story from your perch is absolutely disgraceful, because the men and women of the FBI deserve better. And your attack on the current leadership of the men and women of the FBI is equally disgraceful, because now you're attacking the leaders that are our brave SACs in
Let me
the
tell you
field
what's
who are
disgraceful.
doing the job that this
Disgraceful.
country needs.
It's
And we will
disgraceful.
continue to do it.
Excuse me, it's disgraceful when Mr. Meyer and Mr. Jardina, who served our country so well, are terminated apparently because of the rants of a podcaster.
That is your opinion. It is not a fact.
Well, it's certainly my opinion. I can back up with fact. Let me ask you to explain the situation
He didn't answer the pipe bomb question.
in Baltimore, if you will. Did you read the story about the termination of the project in Baltimore?
Which story?
764 Group?
Sorry. Which story?
764 Group, the Baltimore agents were investigating. Are you familiar with that?
No, sir.
well, I'm not going to go into detail. It would take too long to do it. But apparently that this group, 764, a nihilistic, violent extremist group, seeks to blackmail children to perform vile acts on a camera under investigation by Baltimore, which was terminated by you. I'd like you to respond in writing, if you will, as to the circumstances of that termination.
Sure. Our operations against NVEs, as you're referring to, has been historically high, and we've taken down multiple NVE rings, including 764 rings, who are harming children and causing them to be mutilated and
Last
commit
question,
suicide.
can you explain why you are eliminating the requirements for a college degree for your agents?
Oh, this is another thing that pissed them off. Because it used to be you had to have a 4-year degree to become an FBI agent. They waived it.
I appreciate the opportunity to address that. You said in your opening statement, we are reducing the training requirements at Quantico. We are not. We are expanding them. You are referring to an 1811 crossover program because I believe the men and women of places like the DEA, the ATF, and the Marshal Service and the Secret Service who want to work at the FBI should deserve that opportunity in a shortened, abridged program, which we provided. We are also keeping the 18-week BFT.
Guys, at this point, bro, I'm about to hit up my boy and apply to FBI, bro. Fuck it. This shit crazy, man. Guys, I got to take 3 months off and help these niggas, bro. I'm dead ass. Might need to go back, guys.
DC as is traditionally being held at the FBI. So we're not reducing any requirements. We are increasing those that we bring into the FBI.
Did you change any of the requirements on college degrees?
We are allowing police officers who have served for a number of years to come into the FBI who did not obtain the requisite college degree to apply to be federal agents because we feel they have the street level experience we need.
I'll be honest with you guys. A lot of agencies don't care about you having a bachelor's degree. It's kind of a waste of time, but the FBI's always had that standard. So when he took it away, it obviously caused a lot of commotion.
To conduct this mission.
I yield, Mr. Chairman.
I have to respond to this business about you not treating employees properly because I served under the previous administration when
all those folks out there making this happen, thank them for me.
Well, sir.
As to how to be an FBI agent, you've made a decision that local law enforcement folks, people who have served in law enforcement without a college degree are able to apply now. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Makes sense to me. So experience
He's Cash's buddy, so.
out in the field might be as valuable as a college degree, believe it or not. Venezuela. We're blowing boats out of the water in the Caribbean because they're connected to international narco-terrorist groups. Is that correct?
Yes, that mission is being led by the Department of Defense, sir.
Okay. What legal authority do we have to do that?
Sir, I would defer the questions on legal authority to the Attorney General and the Department.
Fair enough. Do you believe that Maduro runs a narco-terrorism state in Venezuela based on?
I believe based on the intelligence and prosecutions and investigations we are currently running, a large portion of the cocaine that exits out of South America, its origination point is in Venezuela, and using transshipment points through Haiti, they're using the navigable waterways in the Caribbean to the end state delivery, which is the United States of America, and we will hunt down every single one of those narco traffickers with the authorities.
There's some actual indictments of Maduro as an individual.
Yeah, it's actually HSI Miami that indicted some of Maduro's people, guys. Fun fact for y'all. But Maduro is under indictment right now.
Would it be fair to say that Venezuela is a good candidate to be labeled as a state sponsor of terrorism under U.S. law?
Senator, from my perch, we will provide the intelligence necessary for anyone who meets the threshold to be a state sponsor of terrorism, and this administration has
I
expanded
think
it.
they are, so we'll be going down that road. China, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being nothing, 10 being great, how is China helping with the fentanyl problem here in the United States?
Under this administration, we have taken, as I highlighted the Cincinnati case, the precursors are the problem. The fentanyl is the end state that kills American
Well,
citizens.
the precursors are made in China, right?
They're made in China. And so for the first time in a decade, I had a call with my counterpart in the MPS,
He's giving softball questions on purpose.
the precursor chemical companies, and have those chemicals
Is it
labeled.
too early to rate the success?
we have indicted multiple businesses in China. We've also cut off the transshipment points of those precursors. They switched. Once we got on their track about their delivery routes to the Mexican drug cartels directly, they started going to India. We called the Indian authorities, and they shut down those transshipment points. So we're continuing to work with our
So
partners
China
overseas.
is helping, would you say?
They are starting to help, and we are hoping, under this administration's leadership, we can get more of
Let
their
me
help.
know, in the coming months if that continues, because if
All right, I'll keep it real with you guys. As someone that's worked with China before, China does not, they're fucking useless, guys. I ain't gonna lie. If you got a case that's based out of China, you're cooked. The Chinese government is so unhelpful, bro. I had a case on organized Chinese human smuggling, and anytime I would contact the Beijing office, bro, it's like my liaison over there couldn't do shit.
America and inciting
One of the worst countries to have an attaché office, bro. Literally.
Yeah, and the data shows that social media
Yo, like the goddamn video, niggas. Bro, I'm up here, I haven't slept yet and shit. I'm giving y'all the sauce on how these investigations really work. There's no one else on fucking YouTube that can literally fact check a lot of this shit for y'all in real time. Like the goddamn video, man. Join OSS.
is wildly out of control when it comes to
You're
radicalizing.
dead right. So what did you just say? This guy's the FBI director. He says that social media is wildly out of control. Now, free speech, we all agree with that, but you can't yell fire in the theater, right?
Yes, sir.
Free speech
Here we go. How much you guys want to bet is about to start talking about Israel? How much y'all want to bet Israel's about to come up?
doesn't allow you to go online and groom a child for sexual.
No, it does not.
Okay, free speech doesn't allow you to go on the internet and basically incite somebody to kill another person, right?
Absolutely not.
So if it's illegal offline, it should be illegal online. Agreed? Whatever the law is.
Yes, sir. We
Just
had a-
because you're online doesn't give you a get out of jail free card.
No, sir.
So if a parent is worried about a child being bullied on a website, what rights do they have under U.S. law?
We have to balance the rights, as you said, Senator, of free speech versus those that encroach
Is there
upon
any
violence.
law that can shut down one of these sites for bullying children or allowing sexual predators on the site?
We are able to attack certain sites on the dark web. When it comes to the open internet infrastructure system, we have to reach a threshold to attack a company's position that only subscribes to violence.
Can the parents sue that company?
They can.
They can?
They can sue not the social media companies.
That's what I'm talking
They
about.
can sue the companies.
No, I'm talking about the social media company that gives lives to this behavior.
No, you're referring to Section 230, sir.
Would you advocate a sunsetting on Section 230 to bring more liability to the companies who send this stuff out?
I've advocated for that for years.
All right, we need to do this, folks. These companies are taking content that it makes you sick, that could get you killed, get you poisoned, and there's nothing we can do about it under our law. A person can do about it because of Section 230. So if your child is being sexually groomed online or bullied online, and you go to the social media company and ask them to take it down, they refuse, you have like zero rights. How many images of sexually exploited children are purveyed every year on social media sites?
The number is astronomical. And Senator, if I can just add one step to that analysis.
Please.
It's not just what's on social media that is quote unquote real. It's the introduction of artificial intelligence and generative AI that is creating even more child sexually abuse material and even more sexually violent acts online and mimicking people.
Would you say that the way social media is structured today, really no accountability, 36 million images in 2023 of sexually exploited children, that this is a public health hazard?
It is.
Would you say that it's a mental health problem, particularly for
Guys, as you could tell, Graham is a friend of Cash. That's why he's giving him these softball questions. But there were some other guys on the committee that don't like Cash.
To be addictive, unfortunately, the reality is some of these sites are designed to generate income. And many people are generating income based on this illegal trade.
Do you think it's now time for America to deal with this problem?
I'm all in. I have been all in, and I'm happy to work with Congress to do so.
Well, I tell you what, having the FBI director all in is great news for me, and I hope the committee will respond and that we'll be all in, trying to fix a problem that I think is doing a lot of damage to our country. When it comes to John Bolton, was there new evidence involved in the raid on his home?
Sir, that investigation is very much ongoing. As you know, there was a raid of his house pursuant to a legal
Was there a
search
warrant obtained to go in?
Absolutely, sir.
Okay. All right.
We're looking to have that search warrant unsealed
Okay.
at the
Yeah,
appropriate
I
time.
think that would be good, quite frankly.
Bro, unseal that shit now, man. Y'all can unseal it right now.
In December 2023, Director Wray said he sees blinking lights everywhere regarding to foreign terrorist threats against our homeland. How would you characterize the state of threats to our homeland by foreign terrorist groups?
Foreign terrorist organizations have adapted and started utilizing online platforms, and so is the FBI. And so while they are adapting and expanding how they harm our country, we have as well. They have not stopped. There's been a resurgence in places like West Africa and elsewhere of foreign terrorist organizations, and also the newly emboldened drug trafficking organizations in Mexico. It's going to take a whole of government approach to get.
Does Hezbollah fall within that group?
Yes, sir.
So Hezbollah is involved in not only terrorism, but narco.
Bro, Hezbollah's been designated as a terrorist organization since 1997. Since October 1997. I think it was October 7th. Let me double check.
Terrorism?
Yes, sir.
So do you consider Hezbollah a threat to the United States?
Absolutely.
All right, finally, do you have enough people
Sorry.
to do all this? Do you need more
Let's
people?
go.
You're involved in a lot of things, and the numbers speak for themselves.
There you go. October 8th, 1997. You guys want to know who designated them? And Hamas, same day. Let's have some fun, chat.
Every single time, every single crime, every single lie, early life.
You have FBI agents helping here in Washington, D.C. You have FBI agents helping in illegal immigration. That's good. You've got a chance here to tell us if you need more people. Seems to me that threat level of this country is pretty high right now. You got thousands of domestic terrorism cases. How many are being investigated?
I think 3,500 off the top of my head.
3,500, okay. Anyway, it seems your plate's pretty full. I would urge you to get with your people, and if you think you need more people, now's the time to do it. It would be a shame to miss an opportunity to plus up the FBI if the threats justified it. Will you look?
I will look, sir.
Okay, but are you comfortable you have enough people right now?
Right now.
Bro, get this nigga out of here, bro. Get this guy out of here, bro. Get him out of here.
Boy, is my timing good. Until you've hit all 60. Can you explain that?
Again, that is an entirely inaccurate presupposition. I do not have an enemies list. You can continue to
Okay, this is his book.
characterize it as you wish. The only actions we take, generally speaking, for personnel at the FBI are ones based on merit and qualification and your ability to uphold your constitutional duty. You fall short, you don't work there anymore.
Well, there was a list. You don't like it to be called an enemies list, and it had about 60 names, and about 20 have had an adverse action. So those are, I think, pretty clear
Thank you, Franco.
facts. Let me move on to
5 gifted.
grand jury testimony, which we also talked about when you were here. I think you indicated
No, guys, he didn't fire the FBI director. He fired the FBI special agent in charge of Pakistani woman.
us afterwards whatever they told the grand jury. And you then went on to suggest, saying, I can't
No, guys, I was not FBI. I was Homeland Security Investigations, HSI.
go into court orders
But I'm very familiar with how the FBI works. One of my good friends, is an FBI agent.
granted by the D.C. District Chief Judge, and you want me to violate a court order. In those remarks, you fairly plainly suggested that there was a court order of some kind that somehow restricted or limited your ability to discuss your own testimony to that grand jury. Since then, that chief judge that you mentioned, Judge Boasberg, has written, and I'm quoting him here, Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure 6E allows witnesses like Patel to divulge the contents of their testimony, meaning that nothing was preventing him from doing so before.
Yo, are you fucking serious? Bruh, this nigga brought a fucking sign? Yo, What the hell? Bro, this is a fucking movie.
Committee, can we confirm here today that there is no court order of any kind that limits your ability as a witness before the grand jury to discuss your own testimony to that grand jury?
We can confirm that pursuant to my action, that grand jury testimony has been released, the transcript.
Let's, in what forum was it released, may I ask?
Publicly.
Okay, we'll check on that. The FBI does background investigations. In the case of a U.S. attorney, Janine Pirro, it has come to light that in a civil proceeding, that Fox News executives, prior to her confirmation, called her, I'm quoting here, a reckless maniac who makes, quote, insane comments, and said, I don't trust her to be responsible, and noted her penchant for what they called random conspiracy theories on weird internet sites. My question to you is, did that turn up in her background investigation?
For any background investigation, Senator, we do not discuss those publicly. And for every background investigation, when there's adjudication, it is not made by me. It is made by the career professionals who run the inspection division and background check system.
Do you know if that information was found? You see, we're an oversight body here, and there are really three possibilities here. One is that the FBI background investigation didn't find that stuff. That's worth noting because these investigations, full field background investigations, are supposed to find that stuff. That's possibility one. Possibility two is that the FBI did in fact find that information and then did not report it to the administration or to the committee. And the third is that you found it, you reported it to the administration, and they went ahead with her nomination knowing that she had been described as a reckless maniac who made insane comments, who wasn't trusted by colleagues to be responsible, and who had a penchant for random conspiracy theories on weird internet sites. Are you saying that this committee does not have any authority or reason to look into which of those things is true?
This committee can look into anything it wishes. I'm telling you that the background investigations that are done by the HRD division are done by career individuals. They do not report the details of those to me. They adjudicate those independently and individually. That's how it's always been done.
What happened to during the pause of FBI background investigations that was alleged in the complaint against you and the FBI by the FBI agents who were terminated? On February 12th, Emil Bovee directed the FBI, quote, to pause any FBI background investigations of Trump nominees until Patel was confirmed, which happened on February 20th, is the general description of what they alleged. Why, do you know, were background investigations paused? Was it so material like this could be scrubbed out of them? And have they been resumed without that pause fully and normally after your arrival on February 20th?
I can speak to the time period since I got there. Background investigations have been ongoing across the board at the FBI.
Why was the pause, do you know?
I was not there.
Wasn't explained to you when you got there? Oh, by the way, boss, they've had an 8-day pause on background investigations. You think that would be something that would be explained to you at some point?
Again, I leave it to the men and women at the HRD division to run background investigations. I do not interfere with them.
I get that. But what I don't get is whether you were told about that pause, and why would you not be told about that pause?
I don't recall that, sir.
All right.
I don't recall is the magic phrase, guys.
Also relates that part of the employee review of senior staff was whether or not they voted for Kamala Harris in the 2024 election. Since when is who you voted for a proper question for agents to be asked?
I don't know what allegation you're referring to, Senator. If it's from an ongoing matter in litigation, I can't discuss that. But what I can discuss is I can only speak to the FBI's background investigations. There are other background investigations conducted across the government. I can only speak to
So
mine.
just to clarify, I'm not talking about the FBI full field background investigations. I'm talking about internal employee reviews for promotion, for termination, for job actions of various kinds. And my question to you is it now the policy of the FBI to ask agents who they voted for, and since when is who agents voted for a proper question for the FBI?
Oh, wow. So, guys, this is a very important question. I'll tell you why he's asking this. There's something called the Hatch Act, right, where federal employees are not supposed to openly talk about politics or endorse a certain political party. That's why he's asking this question.
To ask.
Taking those in reverse order, it's not a proper question, and it's improper to allege that I'm doing that. And also, at the FBI specifically, under my leadership, we do not ask who you voted for. And just one correction for the record, if I may, Senator, it's Security Division that runs background investigations, not HRD.
Okay, I'll accept that correction. And
He just evaded the question again.
in the event,
He's asking if the policy, if there was a question added to the paperwork in internal reviews, is there a question about who you voted for? And Cash, whoop, Matrix, dodge that one.
that we cannot locate your grand jury transcript, just expect a question for the record that will give you the chance to either provide that transcript again if it had been previously provided, or to make the statement that Grand Jury Rule 6E allows you, to the best of your recollection, truthfully, about what it is that you told that grand jury. Do you understand that?
That's why I wanted the transcript released, and we'll get it to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairman.
I think I want to take an opportunity when we hear about your political weaponization to remind my Democratic colleagues that what's happened the last decade, federal law enforcement, intelligence community, even when Trump was president, has thrown everything at him. They've even gone after his associates and Republican Party organizations. One investigation after another, one prosecution after another. I use examples you've heard me already say today, Crossfire Hurricane and Arctic Frost. These were all built on defective foundations of political bias. And then we released the Clinton Index and the Durham Index.
All right, this old nigga yapping. I'll tell you guys this, as much as people say Cash isn't qualified, he's doing a fantastic job of dodging these questions, though. I don't know if you guys caught on. I've been writing a few of the questions he's been dodging.
Patel, welcome. Thank you for your willingness to serve in this very challenging position. How many people work for the FBI today?
Approximately 36,500, give or take.
I've always wondered whether an organization that big and that diffused all across the nation was actually capable of being managed. Have you experienced any surprises in terms of the, as the director, in terms of your management of the organization?
In my experience, Senator,
Guys, I'm compiling all the stuff right now in my notes. And after this is done, I'll read chats, and then I'll kind of explain some of the stuff he dodged.
leaders in the field are supposed to lead. So we have empowered and we've changed the structural operation of the FBI to empower SACs in the 56 field office, 55, 56 come 1 October, to lead the mission. We've also empowered the respective assistant directors and operational directors to lead the mission. That is how you manage 36,500, 37,000 people. No one or two people can do it. And that's been the transition, is the power structure is being pushed out to the field operations.
It sounds like a very practical way to approach it. And how is morale?
Morale, when I travel around the country, in my experience, has never been higher. The FBI and the police officers that we work hand in glove with across this country are excited to do the work. And the stats that I'm citing are no achievement of mine. The stats that I'm citing in the 7 months that I've been there, such as a 42% increase in cyber arrests alone this year, is because the men and women at the FBI have been empowered in the field. They want to do the work. They're getting the opportunity to do the work. And with our great partners in the respective states like Texas, and where we just returned a top 10 most wanted fugitive and Cindy Singh are getting the ability to make those prosecutions a reality.
By the way, Senator Durbin was asking about polygraphs. Aren't polygraphs a standard part of the standard test given to people with security clearances across the intelligence community
They are.
as a condition to maintaining your security clearance?
I believe they are.
Yes, every 5 years.
Speaking of intelligence,
And then you also need it when you are going through the hiring process.
I've wondered about over time is, you know, the FBI is a premier law enforcement agency in the nation, but you also have other important responsibilities in counterintelligence. And there's been different debates or people wondering whether, including me, whether that's an appropriate role for the FBI to play. And I guess the most challenging part of that is if it's not at the FBI, where would it go? But can you, given your background, I know as working on the HIPSI and your intelligence background, can you talk a little bit about what you think about the counterintelligence role of the FBI agents? And
Guys, I'll ask one of my boys what the morale like is at the FBI right now. I'll ask him for y'all and give y'all the real answer because he's actually out doing shit.
how that's
For
working?
obvious reasons, I'm not going to tell you his name or anything like that, but I'll ask him on the side for you guys.
Whether you think it's performing the way it should, or whether there are other changes or reforms need to be made in order to improve its functioning. As you know, the threats from our adversary nations are just proliferating every day. So what do you think?
The espionage activities of our adversaries have never been so high, and I think the counterintelligence mission is properly housed within the FBI because we've invested with those authorities for Congress, and I believe that mission set is working. And if I can, sir, since January 20th of this year, the FBI has made 55 arrests on the counterintelligence mission alone. That's a 30% increase in CI arrests from the same time year to date last year. We've arrested 33% increase in PRC counterintelligence arrests, an 83% increase in Russia counterintelligence arrests from the same time last year, and a 60% increase on Iran counterintelligence arrests from the same time period last year. So we are already on total exceeding the entirety of the number of arrests from the previous year on counterintelligence.
I will say this, guys. It's very hard to prosecute CI cases, counterintelligence. So this is actually very impressive. I'm not going to lie to y'all, right? Anyone that's done counterintelligence investigations knows that that's actually pretty impressive.
Intelligence matters across the board. And in
Look, I'm being unbiased here, guys. I'm roasting him when he says dumb shit, but I'm also giving praise if it's good. And that many arrests for CI is pretty fucking good.
my opinion, the FBI is the only agency that can do it. Now, we work with the interagency to do it, and we need them, but we have the mission set.
Thank you. You know, sometimes I wonder whether we sort of repeat the way we do things because we've always done it that way. And I'm getting up to building up to this issue of the narco trafficking and what President Trump has ordered the Defense Department to do in terms of to take out some of these transnational criminal organizations that are importing poison into the United States and responsible for killing tens of thousands of Americans, maybe hundreds of thousands of Americans over time. Do you think a law enforcement model for dealing with these narco traffickers is adequate to deal with the threat? Or do you think we need to start thinking about this in maybe new and different ways? Obviously, we're not engaged in a war per se, although it is a war metaphorically. And the law enforcement model seems to be not working from the standpoint of dealing with the volume of the threat and the magnitude of the threat. Do you think we need to start thinking about how do we deal within constitutional legal parameters to deal with this problem in a different way to be more effective in protecting the American people?
Absolutely. And the way to analogize this and why I've advocated for the designation, and I'm thankful that the Trump administration has designated these cartels and narco traffickers as foreign terrorist organizations, is because we must treat them like the foreign terrorist organizations post 9/11. We must treat them like the Al-Qaedas of the world because that's how we're.
What did I tell you guys? I told you they were going to do this so they could start attacking them with intel assets, foreign assistance, all this shit. It gives them way more power to go after these organizations if they designate them as terrorists. I called this back in January when Trump got sworn in.
In the intelligence community to go after the threat like we did terrorists when we were manhunting them. And now we have that ability, and we're seeing that in live time, whether it's on the strike on the boat or going down into Mexico and working with our Mexican authorities with these intelligence assets to say we've located not just the person in charge or the cadre in charge, but the entire network. network, and we are now able to dismantle that entire network. It's going to take time. The manhunt after 9/11 took some years, and this is going to be a years-long mission.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the counterterrorism mission because we've had a lot of experience, the U.S. government writ large, with dealing with terrorism in the Middle East and elsewhere. And obviously some of our
Guys, do me a favor, smash the like button, bro. I'm here on No Sleep giving y'all this sauce, man. So like the fucking video, guys. Least you guys could do on YouTube. I'm over here streaming for y'all niggas for free. So smash that like button. I will read super chats here soon, guys. CC OSS chats.
friends and allies like Mexico, for example, are very sensitive about sovereignty and being able to control what happens on their territory. But yet we're beginning to see more and more cooperation, as you point out, in that regard. And so, in your opinion, has the counterterrorism model, have the lessons learned by the U.S. government writ large, are they
Thank you, Robin.
applied? Are there other things we need to do to make sure that those skills, those lessons learned are applied more?
Okay, guys, this dude's just yapping and he's fucking giving softball questions. Guys, give me a 1 in the chat if you guys want me to give you a summary of what's going on right now. For those of you that are just tuning in, obviously we've got like what, 5,000 or 6,000 people watching right now. So give me a 1 in the chat if you guys want me to kind of summarize what's been going on here for y'all real quick, or if you just want me to keep letting it play through. Because I do recognize that our viewership's like doubled in the past 20 minutes. So there's probably people coming in saying, what the fuck is going on? So give me a 1 if you guys want me to, or give me a 2 if you want me to just keep playing it. Give me a 1 if you want a quick summary, or 2 if you want me to just keep playing it. It's up to y'all. Oh, shit. Okay. All right. I didn't think it was going to be that much. All right. Okay. Last week when Charlie Kirk got assassinated, and the FBI got involved in the case, a lot of people criticized Kash Patel's, leadership during that investigation. He put out 2 tweets saying we got the guy, when in reality they didn't catch the guy. Dude ended up, turning himself in, but the FBI took credit. They had this really stupid and awkward press conference. He told Kirk, I'll see you in Valhalla, when it's like a fucking pagan thing, when Kirk is a devout Christian. Just a lot of weird shit that looked bad optically. So basically they brought him in to answer questions because people are, kind of questioning his qualifications to be director of the FBI. So that's what these people are kind of asking him questions about. Not just the Kirk stuff, but they're going to ask him questions about, the Government Gangsters book, the podcasting, the conspiracy theories, firing people that opposed Trump during the Biden administration, or people that are investigated Trump. So they're grilling him on a multitude of different things. And he's under oath right now, so he can't lie. So if you guys notice, he's deflecting a lot of the fucking questions given to him, saying shit like, oh, I don't recall. I'll release whatever I'm allowed to release legally. Translation, I'm not giving y'all nothing that's classified and unprotected. They asked him if Jeffrey Epstein was an intelligence asset of a foreign government. He fucking deflected that. He said, no, Epstein was not an FBI source. Bruh, that's not what they asked you. They asked you if Epstein was a foreign intel asset, not if he was an FBI informant. But dude's fucking senile, didn't do a follow-up question and clarify. So he just said, oh, okay, let me just go. So notice how the people that like Kash are giving softball, questions, and the people that don't like him are kind of putting his feet to the fire. But Kash has been doing a really good job of deflecting questions. Dude's a master at it, but he is a lawyer. If you guys are wondering, this is why he's doing this shit so well. But anyway, let's keep cooking. Give me what's in the chat if that all makes sense with the summary.
More broadly to the threat of
If it doesn't make sense, give me a 2 and then tell me why. And do not say 2 because I'm black. All right. Funny after the first or 100th time, but after 1,000 times, come on, guys. Give me a 1 if it makes sense. Give me a 2 if it doesn't make sense, and then say why.
trafficking?
I can only speak to the FBI. We are applying all of them to our counter, the CT mission set to the CN mission set, and we're using the new authorities given to our intelligence community partners in the Department of War to combine these collective efforts and in a new way, meeting together and creating an interagency process that gets after the threat dynamic. And whether that's a kill operation, a capture operation, a surrender operation, or a host nation takedown, like we did with the counterterrorism mission sets in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Pakistan, and elsewhere, we are applying that to the drug traffickers in Mexico and Venezuela and Colombia.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have seen too much political violence in this country. We all know that. Just last week, Director, your friend Charlie Kirk was gunned down
Oh, here we go.
on a college campus. I'm sorry for your loss. In Minnesota, only 2 months ago, a madman took the life of my friends, Melissa and Mark Hortman, shot Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette a combined 17 times. And evidence indicates that he would have killed a lot more if law enforcement hadn't intervened. Just last month in my state, we were again shook to the core when little kids were shot down through stained glass windows in Annunciation Catholic Church in Minneapolis. And while the victims weren't politicians in this case, they were 6-year-olds and 8-year-olds, the manifesto that the shooter left behind was political. But in the words of your own federal law enforcement, this person was an all-purpose hater. Went after blacks, Hispanics, the president, Muslims, Jews.
Yeah, bro was fucking retarded.
During the first mass of the year.
These T people are fucking sick in the head, guys.
And 2 children, 8-year-old Fletcher Merkel, 10-year-old.
Political ideology all over the fucking place.
The kids, 18 kids, severely. Fletcher was just starting 3rd grade. He loved his family, his friends. He loved fishing and cooking, in his dad's words, any sport he was allowed to play. Harper, the other child, we celebrated her life this Sunday, thousands of people. Her parents described her as bright, joyful, and a deeply loved 10-year-old whose laughter, kindness, and spirit.
Bro, ask the question. What the fuck? Bro, ask him the question.
Of the wheelchair, threw him under the pew, and laid on top of him. We do thank the local FBI director and the local U.S. Attorney's Office for their work in both of these cases, the Hortman case and this. But I did want to focus on one local law enforcement moment that I'm not sure has made with all the news going on in Minnesota. When the first 911 call, and you've heard about other places where this waited and waited, the first 911 call was made at 8:27 a.m. The first officer was on the scene just 4 minutes later, local Minneapolis police, at 8:31 a.m. The chief, Chief O'Hara, shared with me the actual numbers. Listen to this. Over 20 people were in ambulances just 14 minutes, all of them, after the police got on the scene. 14 minutes after the first call. Tourniquets, stretchers, and they got them all to Hennepin County Medical Center or Minneapolis Children's Hospital. And I think it is worth looking at what happened there because one of the dads whose daughter was severely injured, is still in the hospital.
Still yapping. Guys, do me a favor, bro. Join OSS. $10 a month. Keep the mission going. That's how I'm able to do streams like this and just pop up and give y'all value. So if you fuck with the content, you like and support me, I'm demonetized on YouTube. Really appreciate it. Keeps the fucking fight going. So I can keep doing shit like this for you guys. And I'm probably going to do a stream later tonight too. So, yeah, and we're almost at our goal, guys, of 5,000 strong. You know, that way we can offset the fucking demonetization on YouTube. So I appreciate all you guys. Really do.
What do you think?
Senator, I think there are instances
Link is pinned in the chat. Join OSS.locals/support.
On this legislation that could prevent future attacks, but I'm not going to weigh into the creation of legislation.
Could you also look at, and I favor just assault weapon ban, not getting these guns in the hands of people that shouldn't have them. But could you look at the numbers on the ages?
Yes.
Because from 18, even going from 18 to 21, which wouldn't have prevented the shooter in Annunciation Church from purchasing that gun. He purchased several the same day. Over 100 rounds were fired from the assault weapon through the stained glass windows. So if you went up to 25, it would have stopped that immediate purchase and probably saved the lives of these kids. But if you go to 21, that is the same age that already applies to purchasing handguns from federally licensed dealers. So I prefer another approach, but I was hoping that our Republican colleagues would at least look at that, given Uvalde, Buffalo, and some of these other mass shootings, trying to be practical, but thinking that it could make a major difference.
It won't, man. A lot of these school shooters get their guns from their parents, dude. And that's kind of a big red pill. She just yapping, man.
What do you think of that?
So, Senator, you're talking to my heart here on one of the core missions at the FBI, which is our CJIS facility in Winchester, Virginia, which is our hub for our NICS checks, our NCIC.
All right, CJIS, guys, is the Criminal Justice Information System. All law enforcement in America has access to it, run fingerprints, run names, all this shit. That's basically what it is.
Us for these background checks, we're trying to make that processing as fast as we can so we can get them real-time information. I think we have a 93% clearance rate in 15 minutes as it relates to ghost guns, but we can do better.
All right, well, just if you could get back to me on all those and talk to the White House. Threats against elected officials have increased exponentially. Members of Congress received more than 9,000 threats last year, up from 1,600 in 2016. There's been a lot of talk about the rhetoric and the like. And if we want to move forward on things like Section 230, or even look if we can do anything on guns. I do think we're going to have to be honest about this all-purpose hater issue, and it has bothered me, this thing, we're going to go after this group, we're going to have to go after this group. I just want to, for the record, show that the murder of Speaker Hortman and her husband, it was Democratic lawmakers on his list. He went to the ones whose addresses he had, by the way. Planned Parenthood was on the list, as were businesses and law firms, doctors. I already mentioned the ones with the Catholic Church shooting. So it is not just, as the radicals on the left, what's a quote from the president, are the problems or destructive movement of left-wing extremism that Vice President Vance said. According to the Anti-Defamation League last year, all the murders were committed. And I'm not actually going to say this because I don't even want to go left-right with this, but you can imagine it wasn't from the left. Cato Institute, conservative think tank, published a study just last week that found terrorists from the right were responsible for 6 times more deaths than people from the left. I actually don't want to go tit for tat on this, but what I am asking for is that this rhetoric of blaming one side or the other stop, if you could convey that to the president, and that we actually work on things that are solutions. So could you commit to me, Mr. Patel, Director Patel, that you will do that?
Absolutely, Senator.
Okay, thank you. Last, you were...
All that yap to just say, hey, can you please give the left a fair shot and not witch hunt them for violence? Bruh, she took like 5 minutes to say that, dude.
Asked about social media, and I will put some more questions on the record about that. I think we could make major movement on that record. AI, I'm glad you raised that. I think we have...
Bro, shut the fuck, bro. Dude, that's why I hate these hearings sometimes, man. Yo, these fucking people want to hear themselves talk more than actually ask questions, dude. It's a fucking stupid spectacle. Like, shut the fuck up. You got Kash Patel there, under oath. Ask him the questions that the American people want. You're a fucking Democrat. You should be grilling him. Like, dude, no one wants your fucking 10-minute monologues. Like, just ask the fucking questions, dude. Holy, bro. And then you know what's crazy? Literally, a couple hours ago, hate speech isn't free speech. Yeah. Look, I don't want to sound like a misogynist, but I am a misogynist. These chicks are fucking retarded. No, but all jokes aside, bro, like, what the fuck is going on here? Dude, you got him there under oath. Ask him the questions. God damn. Fuck.
For being here. You're leading the FBI.
Thank God she's done.
A very critical time for that agency and also a critical time for our country. And I want to start by talking to you about the tide of violence.
Oh, this fucking cuck. Bro, this dude is an Israel D-sucker. Holy. Kain? I think his last name's Kain. Bruh.
We have seen ideological violence against people of faith, particularly Christians. You just think here, take a rough catalog. Just in the last couple of years, we've seen shooting at the Covenant School, Christian school in Nashville. We've seen school shooting at the Annunciation School. We've seen church shootings multiply. We've seen acts of crime and violence, vandalism, arson against churches and parishes all across the country. And then, of course, last week, Charlie Kirk, who said, "I want to be remembered for my courage, for my faith," was shot on a college campus.
Yes, Josh Hawley. I'm sorry, guys. I have a slut, bro. Thank you. Thank you for correcting me in the chat, guys. My bad. I'm literally fucking heavy-ass eyelids, man.
Let me just start with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Is the FBI, and I appreciate the tremendous work the FBI has done in this investigation, is the FBI investigating the Kirk assassination as part of this broader pattern of anti-religious, anti-Christian violence?
We are investigating Charlie's assassination fully and completely, and running out every lead related to any allegation of broader violence, and we're producing results on that we'll disclose when appropriate.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Let me just ask you a few questions about that, if I.
Hawley is a fucking hardcore Zionist, guys. Him and fucking Hexeth went back and forth talking about how much they both love Israel, bro. It was fucking cringe as fuck.
we could. Reports have suggested that the FBI is investigating a broader network of groups that may have had some knowledge of the shooter's plans. Can you give us any details on that, following up what you already said in public? How's the FBI working to find other potential accomplices, folks who may have known about the shooter's plans, folks who may have encouraged him? Any update on any of that?
So in terms of what we do for an interrogation perspective, we go and reach out to the family and community immediately. And we've conducted those investigations and interrogations with local law enforcement, and we're continuing to do that because those closest to the suspect are going to hopefully know the most about the suspect and his beliefs and his ideology. On top of that, unfortunately, it has been leaked that there was a Discord chat, and for those unfamiliar with it, it's a gaming chat room online that the suspect participated in. So what we're doing, what we've already done, is serve legal process, not just on Discord, so that the information we gathered is sustained and held in a evidentiary posture that we could use in prosecution should it be decided to do so. And we're also going to be investigating anyone and everyone involved in that Discord chat.
Okay, very good. I see the public reports that the Discord thread had as many as 20 additional users. It sounds like you're trying to run down all of that, see if that's accurate, who else may have been on that thread, what they may have known. Is that fair to say?
It's a lot more than that, and we're running them all down.
It's a lot more than 20?
Yes, sir.
And you're running all of that together?
Every single one.
Yeah, fantastic. Let me just turn to the broader question here of anti-religious, anti-Christian violence. Let me just give you a few stats that I'm sure that you're all too familiar with. Every person of faith in America certainly is. Major report,
Here we go. More yapping coming.
400 instances of hostility against churches in the United States in the year 2024. Those included arsons, bomb threats, shootings, and firearm incidents. Another organizational report found that there were 500 attacks on Catholic parishes alone. So that number 415, that's all Christian churches in 2024. Another organization found 500 separate attacks on just Catholic parishes since May of 2020. Of course, we had the Covenant school shooting, the Annunciation school shooting in Minnesota, where 2 children were shot dead as they were praying in a pew. Here's my question. What is the FBI doing to take on this rising tide of violence that seems to be motivated by anti-religious hatred?
Specifically, sir, we have 60 anti-Catholic hate crime incidences reported to us that are being investigated. Publicly, I can tell you we have 5 hate crime investigations with anti-Catholic bias ongoing currently in the states, in the cities of Kansas City, Louisville, Houston, Nashville, and Richmond. That's what I can say publicly. But any ideologically based attack against any faith, as a man of faith myself, will not be tolerated, and the full resources of the FBI are committed to all of it.
Are you investigating any domestic cells that instigate or encourage or fund or in any way support attacks on churches or other houses of worship?
Senator, you raise an incredibly important point that most people don't look at. I've always said we follow the money. And whether it's terrorism or attacks based on ideology or attacks on institutions of faith or people of faith, someone's paying for it, and we are reverse tracing those steps.
Yeah, you know, I always say that too when I was an agent. You got to always follow the money. But as you guys could tell, this guy also likes Cash giving these softball questions.
Bring the appropriate steps against them with our partners at DOJ.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. We look forward to hearing reports on that progress. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Let me just ask you this in the same vein, Director. Since the Dobbs decision, the FBI has advertised $25,000 rewards for information on attacks on abortion clinics. Will the FBI similarly offer rewards for information on attacks of houses of worship?
Yes, when it is appropriate, the rewards are any reward, whether it's an attack on a house of faith or on a homicide or whatever, is determined by a group within the FBI, but we will work with them to make sure that rewards of monetary value are put out for all ideologically based attacks.
Good. You just rattled off some statistics, which I was glad to hear, about the number of investigations you have open, the incidents you're tracking against Christians, against houses of worship. Let me just ask you if you consider designating a senior official as a liaison to houses of worship, to Christian other religious organizations, to publish metrics on investigations and arrests related to church attacks, church threats, vandalism, arson, etc. Will you set up a system for liaising and then reporting so that everybody can see, this committee and the public can see?
Bro, ask the questions the American people want, man. What the fuck, bro? Look, I love my Christians, man, but we literally are in the middle of a fucking huge case. Like, bro, ask Patel, who was the country that provided foreign intelligence on this fucking guy? Why was the rifle found in the fucking woods assembled, right? When it was presumably disassembled after the shooting. Like, come on, dude. Give the people what they want.
Just how many attacks we're talking about, just what the level of threat and violence is and what the FBI is doing to combat it.
Senator, you're speaking my language. The private
Translation, you're asking me softball questions so I don't have to fucking answer the hard ones where I got to deflect with other people. Like, dude.
public sector partnership on this specific issue, just like the other ones we've talked about, is
Notice how much more open Kash is when he's talking to his buddies versus people that are antagonists. Have you guys caught on to that? With his buddies, they ask softball questions, answers it very professionally, direct. When the haters ask him questions, he deflects, doesn't answer the question, obfuscates, stalls. I don't recall. You guys notice that?
is equally transformative to finding those involved in these criminal.
And he's purposely asking questions that's going to elicit a populism response that makes Kash look better. Hey, what are you doing to combat this terrorism on churches and Christian people? This is what we're doing, right? Makes him look good. Makes the asker look good. Just a big circle jerk.
Activities, and with your assistance, and I would ask you if you're able to identify someone who's an expert in that area, we will work with them. We will take their information, because as great as the FBI is, we're only as good as the information we can get, and we don't have the reach that the private sector does in some of these areas.
Very good. Happy to help on that. Let me ask you about something specific to the FBI, because sadly, as you know, the FBI, when it comes to anti-religious animus, has been part of the problem before you got to this agency. And I know that you remember the infamous memo generated by the FBI that attempted to recruit informants in houses of worship, in particular in Catholic parishes. Your predecessor testified when this information, I just want to reiterate, this memo became public because of a whistleblower. It was not turned over to this committee. It was not disclosed to this committee. In fact, we were told it didn't exist, and then a whistleblower published it, showing that indeed the FBI had recruited informants, attempted to, into Catholic parishes. Your predecessor then testified, sitting right where you are today, he testified that this, I'm going to quote, was a single product by a single field office, end quote. That was a lie.
Yo, this idiot in the YouTube chat, Dart Math Maximus, Myron loving these Dems a bit too much today. Ole. Bro, you're a fucking retard, dude. You're literally a fucking retard. Did you not just see when I was making fun of that dumbass woman that was yapping for 10 minutes? The fuck you talking about? I'm supporting the Dems. We want answers, bro. He's been avoiding the fucking shooter. He's been avoiding fucking Epstein. Like, bruh.
Because we then had additional whistleblowers come forward and say, no,
fucking retard in the chat. Bro, some of you guys in YouTube are like 50 IQ, man. God damn.
actually, multiple field offices contributed to the drafting of the report. And indeed, there was a second.
And guys, the reason why I'm speeding it up is every time I pause, I speed it up so we can get back to this is live right now.
Anti-Catholic memo that the FBI generated. And indeed, those memos were distributed to over 1,000 FBI agents across the country. You know all of this. You and I talked about it when you were here for your confirmation hearing back in January. I just want to follow up and see, have you been able to determine how this memo got written and distributed? How is it that the Federal Bureau of Investigation came to be recruiting informants in Christian churches in this country?
Senator, we did dig in, and we are doing our investigation simultaneously.
Bro, they do that shit all the time. They go into mosques and recruit people. Like bro, religion, I hate to say it, terrorism a lot of times likes to hide behind religion. It is what it is. It's an unfortunate reality, but you go to mosques, find terrorists, go to churches, find, far-right extremists. It is what it is, right? Because that's typically where we're going to find these radical militia-type dudes. It's been going on forever.
And resignations.
Good. There need to be. Because if this is going to be standard at the FBI, nobody can trust the FBI. You want to talk about violating the First Amendment? This has got First Amendment violation written all over it. It's one of the most revolting chapters in the FBI's history. And considering what we're seeing more broadly in terms of the acts of violence against people of faith, this has absolutely got the end of the FBI has to lead the way. So I count on you to do that, Director. Let me just, in the minute or so that I have remaining, let me just shift gears and ask you about something else you said earlier. You said that protecting our youth is maybe the vein. I'm sure you've
See, this is the problem with fucking politicians like this. Like, this guy has never done an investigation in his life, doesn't know how to recruit informants, doesn't understand how criminals work under the auspice of legitimate organizations like churches, mosques, etc. Like, dude, this guy, dude, the best informants a lot of times, especially when it comes to terrorism, typically come from places of worship. So it's not out of the ordinary to recruit informants from these religious institutions.
These companies are doing it. Their own guidelines allow it. What can we do about that?
You're referring to NVE, nihilistic violent extremism, and the 764. It has been made a priority of the FBI because they are targeting children, and these chatbots and these generative AI are getting coupled with actual humans who are using them and releasing them because they can do the work faster and quicker than humans can and get into spaces like social media where humans have a difficulty in engaging. And what we're doing is treating any extension of generative AI as the criminal themselves. And we have, I think, I've got to get the number back to you, but over 1,000 investigations related to NVE. We've had numerous takedowns and arrests of 764 individuals. And we are educating, this may be the most important part. I'm directly engaging with the social media and media companies, the internet service providers, to find a way to shut down. There's nothing I can do at the FBI to force them to shut it down, but work with you in Congress to find a way to work with our partners to get that shut down permanently.
Senator Coons.
Thank you, Chairman Grassley. Thank you, Chairman, for calling this hearing. I'm grateful we're continuing this committee's long tradition of oversight, and in particularly today, oversight of the FBI. Director Patel, thank you for being here. There's a number of issues I hope that we can speak to. I want to start by reading something you said to me during your confirmation hearing under oath. I have no interest, no desire, and will not, if confirmed, go backwards. There will be no politicization at the FBI. Then you looked me in the eyes and said there will be no retribution actions taken by the FBI should I be confirmed as director. I told you that in your office. I tell you that again today. I'm concerned that that's not what's happened, that since you took over as director,
Here we go.
You've cleaned house or forced out senior leaders across the Bureau, in particular targeting those that worked on investigations of President Trump. The former acting director has just sued you for firing him for political reasons. So did a leader in the D.C. field office.
It's a couple FBI agents, guys, that they literally dropped this lawsuit a couple days ago.
And the well-respected leader of the Salt Lake City office was pushed out last month, leaving that office shorthanded at a particularly difficult time. I'm worried that these actions compromise the Bureau's ability to keep Americans safe. Hundreds of agents have resigned. You are lowering application standards to fill vacancies. You've reassigned large numbers of agents to work on immigration and street crime, issues other law enforcement agencies can handle, perhaps more effectively with the FBI. But I'm concerned that this compromises the Bureau's ability to address national security risks, uniquely its capability. In fact, you've shut down the Office of Integrity and Compliance, which makes sure that agents act in a lawful and ethical way, and reassign staff away from domestic terrorism investigations, exactly at a moment I think we are all concerned about it. I also have to ask, you came before the Appropriations Committee in May and told us you wanted a $500 million budget cut for the FBI, literally an effort to defund the police. I am grateful for the work of the men and women of the FBI. They've done great work this year in Delaware, partnering with the Dover Police Department to support human trafficking victims, partnering with the Middletown Police Department on armed robbery and carjacking. And it's urgent, I think, that we fix the direction and the prioritization within the FBI. And I wish we could focus on those efforts today. But I'm seeing an FBI leadership more focused on social media clout and on political revenge than on fighting crime. Director, have you ever ordered that an FBI employee be terminated because he or she worked on an investigation into President Trump?
Oh, shit.
Senator, thank you. One quick correction for the record. There's 280 NVE investigations. I gave the incorrect number to Senator Hawley. Thank you.
Understood.
As far as a lot of your statement, I disagree with it, and I'm happy to address it. But the only way, generally speaking, an individual is terminated at the FBI is if they have violated their oath of office, violated the law, or failed to uphold the standards that we need them to have at the FBI.
So those who
Notice how those three things are extremely broad. See how he didn't answer the question, but gave a politically correct answer?
say that
You guys catch that?
they've been fired because of working on investigations into President Trump are lying or misrepresenting?
Well, those matters are alleged in litigation, which is ongoing, so I can't comment on those specifically.
Could you comment on why you
Bruh.
fired former acting FBI Director Driscoll?
I can't because it's ongoing litigation.
Could you say now definitively under oath that the rank and file agents who were assigned to work January 6 cases will not be terminated because that's what they were assigned to do?
I've said it before and I've said it again. Your case assignment, as I was given case assignments when I was a young prosecutor, does not dictate your career or your termination.
Thank you. Then let me go to the appropriations question. In May, you testified before the subcommittee on which I serve defending the president's request that we slash the FBI's budget by about $500 million. The day before, you testified the opposite in front of the House. Where are we in terms of the budget request? Senator Graham earlier said if you're requesting more funding for more agents, let us know. We're nearing the end of the fiscal year. In front of the committee on which I serve here in the Senate, your request was for a reduction of hundreds of millions of dollars. Where are we?
Where we are in the budget cycle is we at the FBI are in support of the president's budget, and we are in support of eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse. We've already identified tens of millions of dollars of duplicative contracts that the FBI was spending on software and private sector engagements. We've also identified duplicative workloads. So we are transitioning those folks out of doing the same thing twice over and into the field. And that's my focus right now. And the move of the FBI headquarters is also going to save the FBI $3.5 billion in the American taxpayers. So we're focused on eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse. And as I told Senator Graham, if I'll go back and talk to my team, and if we need more, we'll let you know.
Are you planning any additional reductions in force, Director?
No.
How many vacancies are you currently trying to fill within the agency?
In terms of the 1811 ranks, there's a few hundred open vacancies that we have funded. And so we're filling all of those with our hybrid 1811 program and our new recruitment program, and I think a lesser amount of IAs and SOS.
So if hundreds of agents have retired or taken the fork in the road offer, and you have vacancies, but you're requesting $500 million less, how does having fewer FBI agents help you tackle violent crime and address our national security issues?
Just to put it in perspective,
cybersecurity
Senator,
issues?
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. If we had this $500 million, we've done the math. It would take us 14 years to onboard every vacancy that's on the books currently at the FBI, because we can't hire these folks and train them overnight. It's a years-long process. So we are
Yeah, it's a very lengthy process.
in the positions to the
But the FBI's had manpower issues for a few years now.
we had this extra money, wouldn't be able to hire them overnight. We're looking for where the need is greatest, where in the country we need to send them, and how we can change the training requirements, which is why I'm thrilled to have police officers. They might not have a college degree, but they got the street smarts and the cop smarts to become FBI agents, and that's what we want.
Let me turn to Section 702. When you testified in front of the CJS subcommittee, we talked about this issue. You told me you were in favor of reauthorizing FISA Section 702 when it expires next year, so long as the reform
FISA is the Foreign Intelligence Act, which allows them to basically spy on people from a national security perspective. Has its own court system.
Implemented last year, reforms like better training for agents and real consequences for inappropriate searches of Americans' communications were maintained. You also said that you had some ideas about how to make Section 702 better going forward. Can you give me an update on the FBI's implementation of these reforms and the direction you think it should go?
Absolutely. I think you're referring to the query process, and if you're not, let me know. But any instance of abuse or mistakes that were made in the query process have now been changed. It used to be you can make multiple mistakes and continue to access the query database system. I've changed that. If you make a mistake, you're immediately sidelined, a review is conducted, and if it was an actual mistake, i.e., there should have been S on the end of that name and there wasn't, then we put you back in. But we have to review those matters. So that's happening. And if there was an intentional mistake, you have no more access to the 702 query system and its database. So we've also done an audit of the entire 702 system and the query databases. And now we are nearly 100% of the audit. And I think we found one or two, I'll have to get back to you, quote unquote mistakes within that system, which are currently being reviewed.
Thank you. You had told me in May that you'd send me updated statistics.
Guys, when they're talking about 702, they're talking about FISA, or the Foreign Intelligence Service Surveillance Act.
About the Section 702 searches of Americans' data. I haven't received it. When will I get that?
I'll work with my team to get that to you, Senator.
And frankly, in May, when you were testifying that you were implementing these reforms, you were also closing down the Office of Internal Auditing at the FBI. Now, that was the office created in the first Trump administration to improve the Bureau's compliance with Section 702. How is that working out? How can you continue to advocate for robust civil liberty protections but shut down the office that was created to enforce those safeguards? Help me understand this.
Absolutely, Senator. This is a great example of sort of duplicative work. There was two divisions in the FBI working on this, And all we did was the inspection division, which is the leader in this query system and this audit
Inspections division is their internal affairs guys. That's that's what they call their internal affairs agents, the inspection division.
system, has now been given the single source mandate to conduct these. So the OIA, its elimination is just taking folks who were working there and were experts in it and folded in under the inspection division, and then taking other folks that we didn't need because we had enough manpower.
And guys, don't worry, I still see your chats here. I'm going to read them when we get a chance during a break in this hearing.
Pushing them elsewhere in the FBI.
I'm concerned about the rise in threats against members of our judiciary. What are you
Yes, sir.
doing with the U.S. Marshal Service to help protect our federal judges and with state and local judicial systems to help provide some of the expertise of the FBI in protecting them as well?
I share your concern, Senator. We have 35 open investigations, 17 against federal judges, and the remainder against state court judges and threats that they have received. And as you know, federally, there's a specific statute which prohibits that. So we are working up those cases and referring them to prosecution where we can meet the threshold for evidence.
In your written testimony, you referenced how counter-UAS legislation expires and we need to resolve the conflict in jurisdiction and authority. I agree, this is an urgent concern. I have heard from state and local law enforcement about it.
All right, man, they're getting really into the weeds about shit that the American public doesn't really care about. Like, this is shit for me, guys. Like, this isn't shit for y'all to really care about, right? They're talking about little nuances and policy here, funding here. Hey, are we going to do this here? Like, bro, these are not the questions the American public cares about right now, dude.
The folks responsible for major events, whether it's sports or concerts or public events. Given the tragic increase in political violence, I'm very concerned about the misuse of drones and the potential of there being a catastrophic event. What could we do to address this challenge?
Well, obviously, reauthorizing the capabilities that we have under the counter-UAS program. But just to highlight what the FBI is specifically doing, we've been given the mandate to work with DHS to secure not just the Club World Cup that we had, by the way, which occurred in 32 matches across the country without any significant incident, which we're proud of, and we're taking that model for the next World Cup and also the Olympics. But the reason I bring that up is because we pushed out our counter-UAS programs to address the security needs, and that's where our focus is on events like that.
Mr. Director, thank you for your testimony. I look forward to working on actually solving criminal problems and reducing the extent to which what we're going back and forth about is.
Guys, smash the like button for me on YouTube. I think I'm going to cut YouTube soon, guys, and go to Rumble and Kick only so we can be uncensored. So get ready. We're going to probably switch here soon.
More political and partisan point scoring and more actually solving crimes for the American people.
Yes, sir.
Senator Kennedy.
Mr. Director, you and the FBI, working with state and local law enforcement officials in Utah, have caught the assassin of Mr. Charlie Kirk. Is that right?
We have a suspect, yes, sir.
And you did that within 48 hours, did you not?
33 hours.
33 hours. Congratulations.
That is fast. I ain't gonna lie.
We've had other political assassinations back in
Assuming he's the
June,
real shooter.
an assassinated Representative Melissa Hoffman, Mr. Hoffman, Senator John Hoffman, and Mrs. Hoffman in Minnesota. You and the FBI and Minnesota state and local law enforcement officials caught the assassin within 48 hours, did you not?
I believe that timeline's correct, Senator.
Congratulations. Sometimes we miss the forest for the trees. Good work. Did Mr. Kirk's assassin act alone?
As I've said since the beginning, Senator, it is very much an ongoing investigation, and I can't speak to the state charges. That's for the state to address on their own, but we are providing them with the same investigatory findings reporting the department. And as I noted to Senator, I believe it was Cornyn or Hawley, that there are a number of individuals that are currently being investigated and interrogated, and a number yet to be investigated
From the Discord chat.
in that chat room. So we are very much in our ongoing posture of investigation.
So others could have been involved.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I asked you this last time you were here. Cash, you remember Mr. Peter Strzok and Ms. Lisa Page?
Yes, sir.
Bro,
They were,
dude, ask about the foreign intelligence, man. Ask about why the rifle was assembled. Come on, dude.
Mr. Strzok was an FBI agent. Ms. Page was an FBI lawyer. They were both very aggressive anti-Trump political activists who allowed their political opinions to affect their work at the FBI. Is that a fair statement?
I believe their text messages and their testimony that was secured by the OIG and DOJ speak for themselves.
In fact, Mr. Strzok and Ms. Page were having an extramarital affair, and at one point, Ms. Page texted Mr. Strzok, quote, "Trump's not ever going to be president, right? Right?" And Mr. Strzok replied, no, he won't. We will stop it," end quote. Ms. Page resigned from the FBI. Mr. Strzok was fired. They promptly sued the federal government and the FBI and Justice Department for releasing their emails, which revealed all of this. The FBI settled that lawsuit for $1.2 million, gave Mr. Strzok $1.2 million cash, gave Ms. Page,
Bro, no one gives a fuck about this. Was years ago.
gave her $800,000. Who, if the FBI made that decision to give them money?
That settlement was reached in the Biden administration when my predecessor was a director.
Who? Are you saying that Chris Wray did?
The only people that can decide that settlement are the Attorney General in conjunction with the director and the administration.
Okay, so you're telling me that Attorney General Garland and Director Wray decided to give them the money? Is
Yes,
that
sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
Now, when you took over the FBI, did you find instances of where, under the Biden administration, the FBI had weaponized the agency to push the political beliefs of President Biden?
Sorry, the last part.
When you took over the FBI, did you find instances of where the Biden administration had politicized the FBI to prosecute its political agenda?
Well, I won't speak for other people. Haven't been a target of that weaponization, haven't been a staffer on the House Intelligence Committee, having had the Justice Department weaponized against me for making the findings and leading the investigation of Russiagate. I know what that feels like, and that's why as the FBI director, I'm committing to not ever have that ever happen again, but I'm also committed to fully
Guys, do me a favor, smash the like button if you're watching on YouTube. I'd appreciate it. Smash that like button.
investigating what was done, and that matter is still ongoing.
We got 2,700. Let's get to at least 4,000. I'm going to take a quick piss, guys.
So I assume,
I don't know how that can be true when the stats that I cited, to include the 23,000 arrests, 6,000 weapons seized, 1,600 gang and criminal enterprise organizations, 4,700 children found and rescued, more enough fentanyl seized to kill a third of America. The men and women of the FBI are now on an apolitical mission, and this is why the numbers are historic in 7
have you
months.
fired people because they voted for Vice President Harris?
I don't ask people who they vote for, and neither does the FBI.
Okay. But you've given people polygraphs, have you not?
Many people in the FBI take polys.
The FBI does that all the time.
Yes, sir.
Does it not?
Yes,
For
sir.
a long time, is that correct?
Decades.
All right. I want to ask you about the Epstein files. Have you seen the Epstein files?
I have not reviewed the entirety of it myself, but a good amount.
Would it be fair to say that Mr. Epstein trafficked young women, including, in some instances, minors,
Okay,
for
nice.
sex to himself?
That was specifically the allegations in the 2018 indictment in the Southern District of New York.
Okay. Who else did he traffic these young women to?
In terms of what the investigation again, going back to 2008, Mr. Acosta, who limited the investigation and limited the search warrants and limited the parameters of the investigation. The only thing we are able to speak to publicly, because he was given a non-prosecution agreement by Mr. Acosta, is that first time period from, I believe, don't quote me on this, 97 to 2001-ish. And then when the Trump administration courageously reopened it.
Ash, excuse me for interrupting, but I'm going to run out of time. You've seen most of the files. Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself?
Himself. There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And the information we have, again, is limited.
So the answer is no one
For the information that we have
in the files.
in the case file.
Okay. Now, President Trump has deferred to the FBI and the Department of Justice.
Yeah. And I'm watching this porno right now to see if the plumber's gonna fix this leak. Bro, get the fuck out of here, man. Bro. Are you fucking serious, bro? This nigga, man. Bruh. We might as well just say retarded shit all day. Hey. We watched this porno. We didn't care about the sex scene. We're just here to see if he actually delivers his pizza. Get the fuck out of here, bro.
With respect to the Epstein records, he says it is your call about releasing them. And I understand that the department and the agency have decided to release them in cooperation with the House committee. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So you're releasing them a little bit at a time. Is that correct?
We're releasing as much as we can, but we are limited by 3 different court orders, and the department went back to each of those judges to waive those court orders or have them lifted, and each of those judges declined.
Will you release all of them, or at least as many as you can?
We will release everything we are legally permitted to do so. We are continuing.
And that's, here's what this means, translation. I am under no obligation to give you the classified stuff because I cannot legally do it, okay? The shit that we're looking for, guys, when it comes to Epstein is probably going to be high-side stuff that's classified, especially since there was good information that he was a foreign asset. So that means automatically it's going to be classified. So notice the choice of words that Kash Patel is doing. He's very smart, and he's doing this deliberately, right, to cover his own ass.
To work with the House on the subpoena request. We have substantially complied with it, but we will continue to release whatever we are legally permitted to do.
That is the key, chat. When this is all said and done, if they come back and say, you did not release the files, he's going to say, at the time, I could not release the files because they were classified. Mark my words. There's a reason why he's purposely saying this under oath.
So,
Okay.
We will release what we legally can release.
I encourage you to do that. Cash, this issue's not going to go away. And I think the essential question for the American people is this. They know that Epstein trafficked.
Dude, this is so fucking frustrating to watch, dude. I wish I was there. Dude, this is what this fucking retard should be asking. We are aware, and I'm sorry, guys, because it's so frustrating. We are aware that Jeffrey Epstein was criminally charged by the FBI New York office in the Southern District of New York. We're also aware of the fact that there were investigations in South Florida. We're aware of what transpired with Acosta and the non-prosecution letter. Understandable. Ghislaine Maxwell went to trial. Number one question, can you release everything from the Ghislaine Maxwell trial so the people at least have everything for the criminal investigation? That's number one. Number two, this is very fucking important, chat. Number two, we are aware of Epstein's criminal investigation. I want, or I'll start with this. Are there classified documents pertaining to Jeffrey Epstein that the FBI are custodians over? That's the question you must ask. Are there classified or high-side documents pertaining to Jeffrey Epstein Because I guarantee you there are. And then when he says, potentially, okay, have you gotten with Tulsi Gabbard to look at this stuff? Because she is the director of national intelligence. And if you have not, I need you guys to declassify that stuff immediately and put it out. Because the only way we're going to find out if Jeffrey Epstein was in fact an Israeli asset is we must put out all the classified documents with him. But I'll tell you why this might not happen, or more than likely won't happen. People that Jeffrey Epstein conspired with are probably still alive and powerful people, especially within the Israeli government. So the declassifying of these documents would be crippling to what's going on with Israel now, because Israel's reputation is down the fucking toilet with their current campaign in the Gaza Strip. The last thing they could afford right now is for a scandal to come out about Jeffrey Epstein while they're simultaneously conducting a genocide. Do you guys see where I'm going with this now? But since all these Senate people are fucking retards, like Hawley and this guy, and never done investigations, don't understand, the high side versus the criminal side, you need to be very specific with a guy like Kash Patel. Because he's been dancing around these motherfuckers, doing the Macarena and shit, Matrix left and right, bobbing and weaving and shit, for like over an hour. So you must be specific. Are there classified documents pertaining to Jeffrey Epstein? That's the question you got to ask. And if he says no, that's a fucking lie. That is a fucking lie if he says no. That's a trick question. There are classified documents on Epstein because there were allegations that he was an Israeli asset. If the FBI mandated gets information that a subject is involved in any type of counterintelligence or working for a foreign intelligence service, it's damn near automatic that the FBI will open up a counterintelligence investigation. Okay? And in that counterintelligence investigation, a lot of the stuff is going to be classified. But notice, and this is where I'm going to get you here with the hook, okay?
Welcome, punch!
And this is the smoking gun. Kash Patel admitted earlier during this hearing that they had increased their counterintelligence arrests by 30%. Now that you guys understand how the high side works, and now that you guys understand that counterintelligence investigations almost always deal with classified information, let's get to the second part. In order to use classified information to do a criminal investigation, to prosecute, which is what Kash Patel's bragging about, we arrested a bunch of people on counterintelligence cases. That means, by definition, you must declassify the documents so they can be used in a court of law. So don't fucking sit here and tell me that, number one, you don't have classified documents on Epstein, and then number two, that you can't declassify it. Because in this, your own hearing here, you are admitting that you've been able to get more counterintelligence prosecutions, which by definition means you had to declassify documents. Chad, does that make sense? Very important, dude. Very important. And it's very frustrating to watch this shit because all these fucking people are retards, fucking idiots that don't understand how the intelligence community and how the law enforcement community work. Idiots. Absolute fucking idiots. Give me 10 minutes on this fucking committee and I'll get you guys the answers that you need. This is in-fucking-credible how incompetent, inept, stupid, glazing retards run our fucking country that can't even properly ask questions on a sensitive topic because they don't know what to ask. Holy shit, dude. Somebody clip that for me, bro. Somebody clip that for me. Incredible. Give me ones in the chat if that all makes sense for you guys. Give me ones if that all makes sense for you guys. I'm half asleep, bro. Literally half asleep. Took a fucking ZQL like an hour ago. I'm dying. And I'm able to exercise more critical thinking than these retards on no sleep. What the fuck, man?
Young women for sex to himself. They want to know who, if anyone else, he trafficked these young women to. And that's a very fair question. I want to know that answer. And I think you're going to have to do more to satisfy the American people's understandable curiosity in that regard.
Mr. Chairman, may I just respond to that? I agree, Senator. And what we have done And just to remind folks, the Epstein case files existed in the 2 prior administrations, in the Obama administration and the Biden administration, and they didn't release anything. And there was President Trump in the first administration that renewed charges against Mr. Epstein. And I know it's a little complicated to understand, but what exists in the Epstein case files was a direct result of the limited search warrants from 2006 and 7, which hamstrung future investigations because of the non-prosecution agreement. And multiple administrations had the opportunity to look at the entirety of that case file and recommend prosecutions against anyone that was trafficked under Mr. Epstein and anyone that participated in that trafficking. And the only person to bring charges was the prior administration against Mr. Epstein. Now, I am not saying that others were not trafficked and others were not involved. What I am telling you is that based on the information we have, and we have continuously and publicly asked for the public to come forward with more information. If there is, we'll look at it. But based on credible information, we have released all credible information, and the information that the Department of Justice and the FBI never releases is information on investigations that are not credible. And we don't release the names of victims who weren't credible, but in the same time, we don't release the names of victims who were credible. And so the information, that's by law. And so the information we are releasing now is historic, and it is also to the maximum capacity that the law allows. And I know that's not going to satisfy many, many, many people.
Keyword, that the law satisfies you. Caught that, chat? Caught that? Caught that? That's why it's very important to watch these hearings with someone that understands how the government works. I got y'all, bro. I got y'all. He said that for a specific reason.
But if they wanted it done right, then the investigation
It's illegal to put out classified documents without declassifying it first. Okay?
from its origination should have been done right, and he should not have been given a get-out-of-jail-free card to do jail on the weekends for 12 hours a day, and he should have been investigated fully for the entirety of his crime and criminal enterprise, not just from 1997 to 2001.
Senator Blumenthal.
Thank you, Mr. Patel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Patel, thank you for being here today. You'll recall well, in January at your confirmation hearing before this committee, I raised the prospect of politically motivated retaliation, and you...
Notice how Kash stuck to the criminal side, like I told you guys. Notice how he stuck to the criminal side, and this dumb dude didn't ask him anything about the high side.
Promised me, as you did other members of this committee, quote, every FBI employee will be held to the absolute same standard and no one will be terminated for case assignments. You went on to tell me, quote, all FBI
Guys, like the fucking video, bro. Holy, this shit's giving me a headache.
employees will be protected against political retribution. And you assured one of my colleagues that you would honor the internal review process of the FBI. I'm not going to mince words. You lied to us. In the short time that you've been FBI director, you've presided over a rash of retaliatory firings. 3 FBI agents have recently sued you. They are FBI agents with 60 years between them of distinguished service, rescuing hostages, saving kids from predators, dismantling drug cartels, and their allegations, their civil allegations, are a searing indictment of your tenure as FBI director. But it's not just those 3. The FBI Agents Association has said that your actions, quote, distract agents from their work, foster fear that their assignments could cost them their careers, either now or under the next administration, and increase the risk of criminal and national security threats by undermining unity and morale within the Bureau, end quote. This association, as you know, is voluntary. It represents 14,000 members, 90% of all the active agents. These are your employees saying that your performance has been unqualified and unfit. And there is mounting evidence that these retaliatory firings were the result of direction from the White House. There have been instances in the past history of the Bureau of political interference and political direction from the director's office, but not the kind of institutional interference that we're seeing from the White House right now. I'm going to ask you, has anyone from the White House contacted you about personnel decisions?
I completely disagree with your entire premise that I've lied or am misleading the FBI. If I were, the results that I announced today by the men and women of the FBI and the historic records we are doing to keep this country safe would not be possible. The men and women of the FBI are responding to our leadership and this administration's priorities. The only way people get terminated at the FBI is if they fail to meet the muster of the job and their duties, and that is where I will leave it. And you accusing me of lying is something I don't take lightly, but I'm not going to get into a tit for tat with you.
Well, let me just ask you to answer my question. Has anyone from the White House contacted you about personnel decisions?
Generally speaking, we always discuss with the White House OMB during the budget process how many personnel we need, who we need where.
Answer is yes.
For budgetary purposes and
to fire people, agents, because they participated in investigations of the president?
I don't receive directions to do that.
Has anyone
I make the
suggested it?
decisions.
Has anyone asked you to do it? The best information is yes, you've taken suggestions and directions from the White House in firing qualified agents.
Any termination at the FBI was a decision that I made based on the evidence that I have as a director of the FBI, and it's my job, and I'm not going to shy away from it. And as you stated, those are allegations, and that is an ongoing litigation. So they'll have their day in court, so will we.
The allegations are not just in that lawsuit, Director Patel. And I think your testimony confirms that, in fact, you've taken direction from the White House
I don't-
in
it
those
does not.
retaliatory firings.
It literally does
Because you've
not.
acknowledged that, in fact, they have been in contact with you about personnel decisions.
The White House has been, do not put words in my mouth. We're on the record. The White House, like any administration, contacts its agencies on the budgeting process and where it needs personnel and where the mission priorities are. That always happens. If they didn't do that, they would be abdicating the responsibility to law enforcement. I will always work with my partners in the chain of command at the Department of Justice and the White House to ensure that this FBI is delivering the results we are delivering, to include the lowest murder rate in modern U.S. history, to include the most fentanyl seizures in modern U.S. history, to include the most lives saved and the most children found in
Just
modern
ask
U.S.
you,
history. That is a working FBI. That is not a failing FBI.
Let's move on to a related area. In White House discussions, have you been asked or directed by the White House or others to engage in a crackdown on political groups or organizations, nonprofits, after the murder of Charlie Kirk?
To direct at political organizations? No. I've been asked by my chain of command to properly root out criminal activity wherever it is, in whatever.
Okay, guys, let's switch over to Rumble. Let's go. Rumble and Kick. I dropped the links in the chat, guys. YouTube, guys, let's go. We've been on for 2 hours. Let's start cooking over there. Let's uncensor ourselves. Come on over, guys. It's Rumble time. You know what time it is, man. It's Rumble time. I dropped the link in YouTube chat, guys. Come on over. If you don't have access to Rumble in your country, no problem. Use Kick. But we're going to switch over, so we got to censor ourselves no more. It's time for free speech, niggas. Let's go. I'm going to end the YouTube stream now. All right? We got 6,000 plus you guys in here watching. Come on over to Rumble. I'm going to end the stream now. We're going to talk more about this Kirk stuff. Epstein and all the other stuff. Let's go, guys. Let's go. Let's go. Y'all know what time it is. Y'all know what time it is. It's time to cook. Ending the YouTube stream now. My mods are spamming the links in the chat. Rumble and Kick. I pinned that at the top. Let's go, guys. Time to get real, baby. All right? YouTube guys, come on over. Y'all are about to get the best breakdown of this shit ever. Ending stream now. Love you guys at YouTube. Come on over. Kick.com/MyronGainsX, Rumble.com/MyronGainsX. Let's go. All right. Cool. It's real nigga timing. Hope you guys are ready. Feels good to be on fucking YouTube.